Hi all, my name is Chris Melke. I'm the owner of AI Renegade and an AI enthusiast, and today we're going to take a look at make.com because what they've done is they have released AI agents. So this is in response to N8N, Imagine, where N8N has their own AI agents. So this is in beta. So I am one of the lucky people that gets to test this out. If you have Make, so you would go to make.com and then you would look in your sidebar. If the sidebar says you have AI agent access, you'll have a beta tag here. Not everybody has this, and surprisingly, some of the influencers on the web do not have this. And so I'm going to test it out for you. What we're going to do is we're actually going to build the scenario that they have in their agent thing here so that you can just follow me along, and then you don't have to create your own, or if you don't have access, you can watch me create it. So what they're going to do is walk us through building an AI agent. I've already done one agent here. It's a customer service agent, but we're going to recreate it from scratch. So first thing you do is that when you get an AI agent, it has its own tab. So I go to this AI agents tab, and then I go create agent up here. What I do is I connect it to my OpenAI connection. So I already have an OpenAI connection that's active and it has tokens and that sort of thing. So if you need to hook your own up, please look on the web. You can find out how to hook up your own OpenAI API to Make. So I'm going to make a customer service agent. So I'm going to I have a gym that I have an FU for, which I use for my agent. So it's called Jerry's Gym. I'm going to call this the Jerry's Gym Customer Service Agent. So you'll notice here that once you input that agent name, you get to choose your model. So you can choose all the different models that are under OpenAI for ChatGPT. So we're just going to choose 4. It's a basic prompt. Then you'll notice here that you get to choose an agent. You get to choose how you structure your system prompt. So this says define your agent's purpose and behavior. You're a customer service agent, blah, blah, blah. So what I did here was I have the FAQ document, and I just copied this in here. And so I'm going to copy this out, and I'm going to put it in here. What I'm doing is basically what this text says is you're a customer service agent for Jerry's Gym, handling general support questions. Use a friendly professional tone. Escalate anything out of scope to a human agent. Don't offer discounts or refunds unless allowed. So I'm just going to delete this out of here so it's not in there. And we'll just make this up there. So now we have our system. So now we have our system prompt for the agent. So we'll just hit save. So you notice now it takes you to a different page. It has Jerry's Gym Customer Service Agent, and it gives us this page where it has your agent core purpose and behavior, including any guidelines. It's basically the same text as was on the other page. So let's just save this for our agent, and we'll say, okay, and it says agent published successfully. So what you need to do is you need to hook up system tools that are here. And the thing is that right now since we're going to build this from scratch, we don't have any system tools. What I want the agent to do is our end goal for today is to take, and we are going to build a form that submits a question, and it goes to this FAQ and looks through this FAQ and then publishes and sends the email back to the user. So we're going to take a look here and just see some general questions as, contact information, general inquiries, app, where our locations are, who are the owners, do you offer trials? So this is where we get into some Q&A. Do you offer free trials? What should I bring to my first visit? Will there be staff? I'm pregnant. What happens then? Can I still attend classes? Can I bring my child? All the rest of this stuff. So we're going to take this FAQ and we're going to make this accessible to our agent. So we're going to go back into Make, and we're going to create a scenario. So we're going to create a new scenario, and we're going to call this scenario Jerry's Gym FAQ. Okay, so we have that in there, and we're going to call, and we're going to basically, where this resides, you'll notice it's in my Google Docs folder. So we're going to go Google. So we have Google Docs here. And so what we want is we want to get the content of a document. So we're going to select that. And what it's going to do is going to look for my Google connection. So this is on my personal drive. I'm going to say connect via this, connect via, by drop down, it's my drive. And then I'm going to click here to choose a file. So it's going to refresh. And you'll notice here, it's the Jerry's Gym FAQ. So that's what's up here in the document, and I'm going to save this. So right now, what it's done is it's going to get the contents of that FAQ. And what we need to do is we need to call a scenario. So we're going to return output. So what it is that we have a scenario, and what this is going to do is return this data to an agent, right? So we need to set this up. And now down here, you'll notice, not sure this was here before the agents were implemented, but maybe I'm wrong. Scenario inputs and outputs. So right now, we don't need an input, right? But our scenario output should be the FAQ. So we're going to say, is Jerry's Gym FAQ. And then what we're going to do is, we're just going to put down FAQ better. The scenario returns the content of the FAQ. So this is important for your agent, because you need to make sure that it's returning, you're describing what these tools do. So this scenario returns the content of the FAQ. So we got that saved. So we'll save that. And what it's going to do is it's going to return that. So that's how that needs to work. So I'm going to move my thing up here. And so now we have this set up. And what we're going to do is we're going to save our scenario. So we're going to save this. And then what we're going to do is that what these scenarios need to accomplish needs to be on demand. So right now it's run scenario at regular intervals, but what we do is do it on demand, because our agent's going to ask for this data. And so it says not active, we like to activate it now, and we say, okay. And then we're going to say save, and then save. Okay. So now what should happen is that this Google Doc is going to be accessed by our agent, and then it runs this scenario, right? So this is set up as a permanent scenario that's on demand. The other thing too is that the agent can only look at things that are on demand. So you need to set that up properly so that it accesses that. So as I mentioned before, what we're going to do is once the agent gets contacted through the form, they're going to actually go ahead and send an email to the actual person instead of, but you can also, send a WhatsApp. You can access it through a WhatsApp message, but right now I'm going to access it tally form, right? So let's go ahead first and set up the scenario we're going to use for the email. So let's go in here, and I'm going to create a new scenario, and I'm just going to use Gmail, and I'm going to send an email. So we need to configure this correctly. So I'm just going to say send email. And then what I want to do is I want to go to my account, and we're going to send an email through that account. I'm going to refresh. Let's see here. We'll just do this. We'll just sign in with Google. I'm going to authorize an account because sometimes it loses my account. Continue. Allow. Okay, so now it's all good. So anyway, so what we need to do is actually set this up is that it needs inputs. So you'll notice here that the 2, it needs an array or something like that is in here. So we need to grab these inputs and put them into the Gmail so it can send this correctly, right? So what we need to do is we need to create inputs. So we're going to add a customer email, and we're going to say email and we're going to save. We're going to do, because every email has your customer email, you're going to add an item. We're going to add so the other thing is that it always has content. So it's going to have email and content. And then we're going to say it's going to be the content from for the email. We're going to save. And then what we're going to do is that we're going to add another item, which is we're going to have email. And we're going to save. Okay. So now we have these fields that are available for us to use. So the nice thing is that we can go ahead and put this together, is that we have our we can add a recipient. And so what it is that we have variables now that are here. We can actually put these in, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to take and use these variables in there. So right now, it looks like it hasn't. So what we need to do actually is we need to save the scenario. Okay. So you need to save the scenario to get these variables in here. So it keeps resetting this. So I'm going to reset that and add a recipient. Okay. So now that we've saved this, so you notice that these are popping up, right? So we have the customer email, so that's the first variable, the subject, which is the second variable, and then you have the content, which is the third variable, right? So this is all in here. My Google thing is hooked up. And so now we've hooked up the send email form. So we've got that already done. So now that we have the email set up, what we're going to do is actually create a link to our tally form. So tally form is basically a free form you can have online. And I've just created this Jerry Jim contact form. So I have my name and email and what's your question, right? So it's a very simple form. Anybody can generate this. Go on to tally.so and get that done. And so what I want to do is actually access the Tally app. So you can set this up. We're going to watch new responses. And we've already got a webhook here. So I'm just going to call this Jerry's Gym Customer Service Agent, right? Okay. So this is connected to my Tally connection. And then also I have a form ID, which is a Jerry's Gym contact form. And it's very easy to create on Tally. You can go ahead and do that and just hit save. And you hit save. And it's all ready to go. So you've got this Tally form that's hooked up, right? So the next thing you have is that you're going to set up an agent to access the details from this tab. And what we're going to do is actually, the first step we're going to do is we're going to go back into our AI agent and just kind of save this first. So we have our Jerry's Gym customer service agent, right? So what you notice is that I set a lot of these forms to on demand. One thing I need to do is look at, let's see here. So we have our send an email. So I'm going to send an email and say, this is how we send it. So the thing is, what I need to do is I need to set this up as being on demand so that our agent can see it, right? So I'm going to save, activate scenario, and I'm going to save this again. So remember, this is on demand. Now when we go back to our agents, I'm going to configure this. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a few things, and I'll show you how to add one manually. You can add system tools here, and you can also add it in the agent block. So here's what I'm looking at. I have several different scenarios that are running, but what we want to do is that we want to have this Jerry's Gym added, and then this okay, so access this FAQ to answer the customer's questions. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to hit add. Okay. Okay, so this is active. So it's here is active, so that's good. So it should be okay, and I hit save. Agent is published successfully. So hopefully this shows up in our item. Maybe I need to refresh or something like that, but let's go back to our scenarios. So I have the scenarios that I did. We have the check FAQ, and then we had the agent scenario that we had earlier. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so it doesn't have the Jerry's Gym. So what we'll do is, maybe I didn't save it. I'm just going to call this agent. Okay. So what I did was, all I need to do here is, again, I'm going to grab the tally form, watch new responses, create a webhook. Jerry Jim, Jerry's contact form, save. Okay, so I've got that all done. So I'm going to save that. So I'm going to add another module. I'm going to add an agent, run an agent. So this is an actual agent. So now you're hooked up to your agent. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm going to hook this into customer service agent, and then so it has some basic tools that it actually can access, right? So this tally form will feed into this agent. So I'm going to add one of the tools that are here. You can notice that there's a lot of tools I have, but you can also, the one we just built is send an email. And then you're going to say sends an email to the customer. So we're going to add that. So the additional tools are here. And so we also have agent level tools. Just to be safe, I'm going to add this check fac. Usually it would show up in the other one, but I'm not sure why it didn't show up. I think because it's beta, there may be some things that are lacking. So we're just kind of fighting our way through there, right? So if you have a thread ID, this is for stuff like if you're accessing it through WhatsApp or, Telegram or something like that. So additional system instructions. So we're getting data from the tally. Basically, what we're going to ask the agent to do is we're going to ask them to answer the user's question. So you are being given the following data input from a customer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell the agent what it's actually going to get. So it's going to get their name, they're going to get their email, and they're going to get the question. So we're inputting these into the field, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this over, put this in name, and then we're going to take their email, and we're going to grab the wrong thing. I'm going to put the email here, and then they're going to get the question. And then what we're going to do is tell this, use the FAQ to answer the question from the customer and send them an email response. So now we have it all. This is additional systems instructions. We're basically telling this agent, okay, you're going to check this fact, and then you're going to send the email, right? We're doing this how it's all set up, right? So we're just going to save this. So now we have this set up is that it should be accessing those two tools and accessing the FAQ. So we're going to save this right now, and we're going to try to run this and see what happens, right? So right now what Tally is doing is it's waiting for data for this form. And I'm going to do here, I'm going to input my name. And I'm going to use my work address. Okay. And I'm going to ask the question about, I'm going to say, can I bring kids to your gym? Okay. So let's go back to this scenario. And what we're going to do is once we submit this, you can see it work. So I'm going to submit this and we'll watch the actual scenario run. Okay. It's received the tally form. You notice here, it's thinking about what it needs to do. And then it sent, I successfully, so it says you have the input, can I bring kids to your gym? I've successfully emailed the customer, Chris Melke, explaining our policy and bringing kids to childcare area in the gym, in our gym facilities. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, so we've got this response. It looks like kind of dog meat. So what we can do is if we go back to make, one thing we can do is that we can add an item in here and just say, what we can do is just say, for readability, please use HTML to format the email. So we can do that. So this is an additional instruction or prompt or input to send to your agent. So we'll do that. So let's go back and re-access this tally form. So I've already got that closed out. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to submit a new question. So I'm just going to say, and I'm going to say my email. We're going to use the same one here. Okay, so let's use your, another thing would be, so let's say I'm pregnant. Can I use your gym? Okay, so I'm going to submit this question. So what we got to do is we actually have to set this up to receive data. So I'm going to do run once. And I've got the gym contact form already set up. So once it hits, it'll start running again. And hopefully the next email should be formatted a little bit different. So I've submitted this. We've received the tally form here. We're doing make AI agents is running. And once it hits, it should send an email. Give them the following input, respond to them an email, let me know. And then let's check the email. So again, here's the AI agent responding. It's a little bit better formatting. I mean, you could probably go in and say, do a little bit better. This is not me responding. This is the AI agent. We're more than happy to continue on Jerry's gym, prenatal classes, recommend you consult your doctor. So this is all taken from the FAQ. if you'll notice here, let's just scroll down. Let's see here, pregnant, prenatal fitness classes, and consult your doctor. So it's using the FAQ. So that's in a nutshell what agents are for Make, the new beta. So definitely, if you have access, check them out. There's also some videos on the web, on YouTube. So, that's in the nutshell. We hopefully can, with Make, I'm a big fan of Make, and I've learned on Make, so maybe this can take over N8N, but that's what we're running right now. And if you have access, just experiment and make your own videos and post them, or let me know if this was helpful. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe so I can make more videos. And thanks again, and talk to you soon.